All right. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. I want to give double honors to my apostles and elders, great millstone, who teach very well. While not this truth from, is citation out there to the hopeful elect who continue to push this word in all truth, faith, and sincerity. And also shalom to all the men, women, and children who sincerely believe upon the words of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua. And today, man, just basically on touching on this is the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. Because I know a lot of times we do articles about over here in the West. No, the Edomites, they're ruling the whole world, you know. And the way we know that they're ruling the whole world is through the laws and legislations that they push out in these different countries, man. Now, real quick, I have an article from CBC News. It says Carney says legislations to toughen sentences make bail harder coming next week. PM Prime Minister says he's confident proposed changes to consecutive sentencing withstand charter test. Now, this is the guy who's basically the prime minister of Canada. You could say he's the president of Canada, where he's basically saying it's going to be harder for people to bail out of jail. Now, you could say that's a good thing for the people who have multiple offenses, but just like here in America, people get caught up in the systems. It'd be people that sit up in the county for, 6-7 months over a damn speeding ticket, man. So imagine how it's going to be once these devils get the profits. Let's read a little bit of this. It says Prime Minister Mike Carney says his government will introduce legislation next week that will make it harder to get bail, allow consecutive sentencing, and eliminate conditional sentencing for people convicted of a sexual offense. Now, of course, again, for lack of better words, certain laws, instead of sending a person to jail, you're supposed to stone them. That's another way to show you that the laws and legislations here is getting worse, man. This guy have a consecutive offense. Nigga going to jail 6-7 times for the same thing. Ultimately, you could have been locked them up and threw away the key. The reason why you're doing is you're making an excuse to come after the righteous men who push forth this word, man. Let's go ahead and continue on, though. Prime Minister Mark Carney says his liberal government will introduce legislation this week that will crack down on crime by bringing in harsher sentencing and making bail much harder to get. And a part of that harsher sentencing, best believe, is going to be summary execution, which basically, once you go into it, is saying that instead of you having a trial, they can just bring you in and kill you off a simple fact of conspiracy. Let's go ahead and continue on, though. The announcement is part of the law enforcement agenda Carney introduced in his spring election campaign and includes a promise to hire 1,000 new RCPM officers. Don't that sound familiar? With the ICE program showing you that this is nothing but the production of the Edomites. The Minister of Justice will be tabling legislation next week with strong reforms on bail and sentencing. Carney said, we're getting violent criminals and repeat offenders off the streets. And ain't this the same thing that Trump was speaking about over there in D.C.? Again, this is not nothing new. It's not like these guys is just freestyling upon the planet Earth. No, ultimately, they're under the agenda to push forth this new world order, man. Because this is going to get to a point, if you don't have that little tiny device inside you, they're going to throw you in jail. And until you get it, that's the only way you're going to be able to get out. These are the legislations that these guys are writing up. But again, niggas are too obsessed and too, for lack of better words, involved in NBA Youngboy and Chris Brown. They can't see that this devil is finna get ready to come down having great wrath, man. Let's go ahead and get some real quick. This is the book of Isaiah 10:1. I'm going to get it in the CSB. Woe to those enacting crooked statutes and writing oppressive laws. That's an oppressive law for somebody to make it hard for you to get out of jail. 9 times out of 10, when it's something hard or something harsh, is no bail. Now, you get caught with something that you're supposed to have is no bail. And at the end of the day, if there was a righteous society, you guys will bring back stoning. That will eliminate crime. Just imagine the kids, 6, 7 years old, watching that event happen. Imagine the fear that's going to be in their heart when it comes to breaking the law, man. But again, this is what happens once you're in a wicked society. Basically, they let the wicked off the streets. They'll give a nigga 2 years in prison and let him out again so he can do more wickedness, man. Let's continue on though. It says to keep the poor from getting a fair trial. And that's how you know that these devils is finna set people up for the get-go. Because again, Diddy getting off real easy. Epstein, nigga faking his death. All these different things. But when he's going to come into the nation of Israel, it's going to be harsh because that's the ones who mainly get arrested. Again, once you go into what Trump did down here in D.C., Chicago, Memphis, and even down here in Alabama, deploying those different troops, they're not going into the neighborhoods, the suburbs. They're not going into the hills and the mountains. No, they in the barrios, man. They in the ghetto where the Jews dwell, That's why it says to keep the poor from getting, so that their widows can be their spoil and they can plunder the fatherless. Now, real quick, let's see what that word plunder mean. Because let's see if this word plunder mean we finna love and hack. No, plunder means to steal goods from a place or a person, typically using force in a time of war or civil disorder. Now, that precept reminds me of this. Because again, these devils, they finna get ready to come down with great wrath upon the ones that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. So again, they say they're going to plunder the fatherless, plunder to steal goods from a place or person, typically using force in a time of war or civil disorder, the violent and dishonest acquisition of property, man. Let's go ahead and get some. This second Ezra 16, and I'm going to jump down to verse. Let's jump down to verse let's start at verse 74. It says, "Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand." And how we know it's at hand, look at the different laws that these devils are pushing out. 1,000 officers is getting sent here in Canada. The National Guard is getting sent out over here. Things is wrapping up in France. The Ukraine and Russia thing is still going on, man. So the whole world is really preparing for this beast system to be enacted. But it says, what? But I will deliver you from the same way, that the times of trouble, the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the whole world. This is what the Lord is going to deliver us from. It says, be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your God, and the God of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord your power. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift themselves up. Yeah, so we're coming into a time when these devils is going to come down having great wrath, but we have to have this truth in order to keep our heads above water, man. When these devils going to try and plunder us, this precept is going to have to come in my mind. So let's jump up real quick. This second Ezra 16. Let's start at verse 70. This one I wanted. It says, "For there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses." That's what that word plunder means. You go back into that word plunder, to steal good from a place or a person, typically using force. In a time of Jacob's trouble, don't be surprised if a Gurkha troop, a troop that don't speak no damn English, kick in your door and take all your food, man, for the lack of bread. He might even take your woman too. But these are the times that we're coming in here in these latter days, when this devil is showing his horns and ultimately show you that he hate the nation of Israel. But he's covering it under the banner if he's trying to protect everybody. But the only thing he's trying to protect is his new world order. Let's continue on though. Let's go right here. It says the conservatives have been pushing for bail reform for years, arguing the current system is a little more than a revolving door that allows those with lengthy criminal records to be free while awaiting trial. And that's the same type of thing they had, during the Roman Empire, and it's the same system they have enacted today. But again, they're just making this an excuse, sign the things on the books so he can ultimately come and get the profits of the nation of Israel. Let's jump down, because the whole point on it was with the the bail reform. Basically, it's hard for you to get out of jail, So that's pretty much it on that, Akim. I pray this video was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to my apostle elders, great millstone, and